finally come to the end of the business and markets month for February 2024. Hello, everyone. It's a Thursday. Let's get on to see how the market was tiptoeing towards the end of the week. Technically, Wednesday, just a day before today when the markets will wrapping up and then we'll step into the final month of the first quarter tomorrow, Friday. The Nigerian stock markets remain in the negative 33 since Tuesday when the central bank announced a very jumbo increase in the country's headline interest rates to 22.75%. The stock market fell about 712 billion naira on Wednesday. That's about 1.27% on the counter. The index, the all share index, fell below the 100,000 level, and that's quite significant. As we also saw some of the big names on the exchange, in particular for the consumer goods, services, and breweries reporting losses, huge losses for 2023, no thanks to the exchange rate devaluation, depreciation of the naira, as well as the removal of fuel subsidy. All of that impacting big names, Nigerian breweries, Nestle, international breweries, and a host of others within that space. The BRVM in Cote d'Ivoire was better by 18 basis points, solidifying the 212 reading for the regional exchange in West Africa. The EGX 30 was down by 1.13%. That bucked the trend that we saw since Monday. And then, of course, today is the final trading day in Cairo for the week. The Nairobi stock market remained tepid, down by roughly 20 basis points, and the GSE fell much bigger than Tuesday, down 1.28% at 72,204 on Wednesday. The Ghana stock market, however, made a very big jump, 0.78% on the composite index at 3,215 on Wednesday. So just a summary of some of the equities market across the continent. What else is on tap as we go into today's business and the trading day? Look at the headlines from East Africa. As always, Kenya's the Treasury says it's tapping 105 billion shillings from the IMF-backed dollar reserves to support the country's flagging a currency and fiscal balance. The Seychelles Islands says it's repaying $2.4 million debt to Russia, but that will be by the year 2027. And good news this week as Ethiopia and Norway signed $75 million climate partnership deal. It's been a whole lot of relationships that Norway is making with the continent. This is Ethiopia. President Samia Suluhu of Tanzania was also in Norway just about a week ago, speaking at the country's energy conference there as well, warming its way also in terms of energy with this European country. In the meantime, Tanzania and China have firmed up a deal that's about $270 million to build all tanks at the Dar port. The whole idea is to ramp up Tanzania, ramping up at the port in Dar es Salaam to compete with Mombasa and a few others within the eastern coast corridor of the Indian Ocean down here on the continent, as Uganda looks now to take its fuel imports exclusively from Tanzania and snubbing its existing relationship with Kenya. And Uganda reporting trade surplus with DR Congo at about $53 million at the end of last month. That's taking a whole lot of relationship between DR Congo and the East African community a whole lot deeper. Let's check in with West Africa. And then, of course, quite a big headlines from Nigeria with the retail food data out yesterday showing very significant jump in retail food prices, rice, beef, onions, everything else in the breakfast, lunch, and dinner table. Very strongly to the upside in the month of January. Those data came in from the Statistics Office on Wednesday. They have Nestle Nigeria mentioned earlier, one of the biggest companies in Nigeria, trading below 1,000 naira per share and reporting no dividend, no tax to the government last year because its numbers went in the red. 104 billion naira is still worst reports ever for Nestle since it stepped into Nigeria decades ago doing business. We saw a similar report from Nigerian breweries supported by Heineken just about a week ago. Radisson Hotel, however, says it's going to increase its portfolio of hotel offerings in West and Central Africa by the year 2030. That will be about 15% increase in the number of hotels and its service offerings. Nigeria's former Statistician General Yemi Kale has now joined Bank as the group chief economist for the African Export-Import Bank. Congratulations happens to the iconic former head of Nigeria's Nigerian Bureau of Statistics. It's about Africa. Digital Economy says it's got about $20 million support from the World Bank to support its footprints across Africa. That's some of the headlines across the West Coast. Let's just step onto Southern Africa and grab a few headlines for you. Corporate earnings coming through, but again, you've got a whole lot more in terms of change of power. Net Group says it gets regulatory approval to appoint Jason Quinn as a group CEO effective of the month of May. They have Transnet, the state-owned logistic company, and appointing Michelle Phillips as its new chief executive officer. In the meantime, Vodacom is saying no, was challenging, gone back to court to challenge a decision of a lower court ordering the telco company to pay former staff $1.5 billion in terms of what you can call intellectual property deal. Vodacom is challenging that court decision and says the decision of the court was not really clear as to how much will be paid and what have you. But has that been taken back to the court? We expect the courts to have the final say at the end of the day. Zimbabwe is looking to raise about 9 trillion local currencies for budget support as the country faces a debt crisis. And finally, the World Bank is nudging Malawi on economic stability as well as growth as the Southern African country continues to get the support of multilateral agencies such as the World Bank and the IMF and a few others as well. Great. Let's touch on North Africa. Let's just wrap it up there with Orange and Microsoft partnering to support SMEs, small and medium enterprises in the Middle East and across the African continent, in particular the Northern Corridor and a bit of that in the Western Sahara down to West Africa. In the meantime, Egypt Financial Revenue Authority says it's licensed GB Capital Sukuk issuance activities within the Cairo's markets. ExxonMobil, one of the world's largest energy producer, says it's starting Egypt's natural gas exploration, and that will be later this year in October. And Tunisia is looking to launch Libya shipping line in next month. We'll keep an eye on that business. And finally, in Tunisia, the World Bank says it's giving President Said's administration $520 million financing, and that is expected to come in next month. President Said and his team have trying to work everything that is necessary to be on the good side of Washington to get support from whether the IMF and the World Bank, even though some of the deals being put on the table for the administration in Tunisia has been rejected. But now the World Bank is stepping up to the plate, giving about $500 million to support the struggling Tunisian economy. And those are your headlines at this time. Thank you very much, everyone. I'll see you again tomorrow. Bye for now.